Welcome back to Mid-Century Living, the show where we talk all about the best of the mid-20th century and how to add vintage vibes to your modern life. We're your hosts, Jackie.
And Gonzalo. That's right, we are back. Thanks for joining us today. So today we're revisiting one of our MCM episodes from Season 4, titled 4 MCM Chairs to Sit On, by looking at 4 more MCM chairs. If the first episode was about chairs you know, this is about the chairs you understand once you sit on them.
We suggest you listen to our first chair episode, which was episode 61, way back in Season 4, or you can just click the link in the show notes for it.
If you'd like to skip ahead to the topic we're covering today, though, we have timestamps in our notes, and you can check out our new chapter links in our episode as well.
Because before we get into the episode, we have a little announcement. So now that we're in Season 6 of the podcast, we're going to be changing our episode format a little bit. From now on, we'll be releasing episodes bi-weekly instead of weekly. We think that the slower release schedule will be easier to plan around, and it'll keep us from needing extended breaks between seasons.
We are also no longer including the etiquette segment at the end of our episodes. We're hoping both these changes allow us to spend more time diving deep into our episode topics. I know I may have gone a little overboard with the topic this week, but before we get into it, Jackie, how was your break? It's been like a minute and a half, really, since we caught up.
Yeah, goodness. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Christmas was great. I got a food processor, and I've used it so many times, like at least twice a week since I got it. Just on everything. Like, oh, I guess I could slice this with a knife, or my food processor could do it. Like, oh, I could grate this cheese, or my food processor could do it. So the whole world is open to me. There's nothing that I can't mince. I did dry January. That was really fun. And now it's February, and I'm going all in on spooky Valentine's Day right now. But the reason I'm all excited about it is that the Friday before Valentine's Day is Friday the 13th. And so basically, I'm going all in on like a dark Valentine's aesthetic.
Ooh.
So, like, all of the spooky Valentine's Day crafts I've been pinning to my Pinterest boards for years, I just decided to, like, pull the trigger on them all right now. So I have, like, I made a Ouija board tray, which I know I have a no Ouija rule. But I want to make these, like, planchette cookies. And people will only know at work, like, at the work potluck, that they're planchettes if I put them on a Ouija board. And I think since I made it myself...
Wait, you made the Ouija board?
Yeah, I just, like, painted the design on a existing tray.
Oh, okay.
I'm just really hoping that nobody accidentally summons any demons.
I think it'll be fine. Plus, anyway, you're taking this to work, so it's not like it's at your house.
It's at my house right now, but there's nothing on it.
Yeah, but no one's going to be summoning demons at your house.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, the cookies will not be on the tray
Exactly.
in my house.
But at the office, hey, maybe that means you get,
Finally,
more
I get
days
a
off.
ghost, a studio ghost. I've actually been wanting a studio ghost. I thought that would be fun. But I also decorated some candy boxes that look like Victorian, like old-timey, lace-frilly, flowery Valentine's Day boxes. Yeah.
Nice.
So I had fun with hot glue, and I made all these. And that's basically where I've been throwing all my energy lately, is into crafting. Now I'm a crafty person. So that's what you missed with me. What have we missed with you?
Oh, man. The beginning of 2026 was busy. Just work and stuff. But also, okay, so the theater program at our school just finished Cinderella, which was a lot of fun. So I got to help on that, and we got to do a clock that moved, which is kind of fun.
Cool.
So we did a clock like that when we were in theater for a Comedy of Errors. That, I don't know if you remember, Lauren had to sit in the tower and like move with her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing that, and I remembered kind of how to do it. I was piecing it together in the shop and I remember I messaged Alex, which people out there you may remember from Jeep episode and others. I was like, hey, do you remember how we did this? And he goes, yeah. And then he told me, he wrote it out. And I go, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then he just sent me a photo of his sketch. I was like, I asked him, like, did you happen to have your sketchbook from like 20 years ago just handy and you just took a picture of it? He goes, no, I just had some pens and a highlighter. And he just sketched it up. But anyways,
so talented.
Yes, very talented. But I had fun. It's a lot of fun. The songs got stuck in my head for a good month. It was a lot of fun. And then they did it, and then the world down south started to close because of an imminent freezing threat, which did not happen.
Did you get... Oh, so you didn't get anything down
No,
in Houston? Oh.
no.
Yeah, Friday night, it was so wild up here. So, like, Friday when I went to work, it was like 70 degrees. And then overnight, it dropped down to like 20 and started sleeting at like 8 p.m. or midnight or something. And we had a solid inch or two of ice for almost a week.
Oh no, we had nothing. We had sun.
It
It was
was,
cold,
yeah,
and
it was
the
rough in
schools
Dallas. The whole
closed.
city closed down. I worked from home Monday and Tuesday and then showed up like afternoon. Like it finally started melting on Wednesday.
Mm, no, we got nothing. The schools announced they were closing on Friday. And for everyone out there, this was a couple weeks ago where the big winter storm hit on like a Saturday. Anyway, everyone was very confused because our district will not close until like right before. So they told us on Friday they were closing Monday, and everybody's like, "Okay, we got a 3-day weekend. It's kind of nice, but also really weird."
So did they change their minds and open school up again on Monday, or was it too
No,
late?
Monday was too late. Once they announced it, they announced it. Um, so we had a 3-day weekend, which is kind of nice. And then on Tuesday we went back to school, and everyone was like, "Well, what was that?"
That's so funny.
But they did cause a lot of issues because, for example, Cinderella, that was opening weekend, so they had to cancel 2 of their shows. Um, and then like our swim championships were moved a week because they were supposed to be that weekend also. So that created all kinds of mess. And then people have been upset, and I'm like, just like move on. We adjust. But
Well,
anyways,
it's very healthy and balanced of you. Well, I'm glad you had a nice, not actual ice storm. We had the ice storm was kind of fine up here. Luckily, we had power the whole time. So
yeah.
that was way different than the last big freeze where we didn't for a week. That
Well,
sucked.
we were prepared for that. So
Hmm.
like we had prepared in all the sense that you can.
Same.
But
And now
anyways,
we have a lot of bottles of water to drink.
yes. But we did do a lot of sitting that weekend. And I wish we would have been sitting in some of the chairs that we were talking about today. But we weren't. We were sitting in our at home couch.
Excellent transition.
Yeah. So last time we began with Charles and Ray Eames. Today we'll be doing things a little different and ending with them. So let's talk about someone completely different. So the first chair we're going to talk about is the Wishbone chair by Hans J. Wegener from 1949, designed for Carl Hansen and Son. First, we should get some background though on the designer. So Jackie, why don't you start us off?
So, Hans J. Wegener was a Danish furniture designer born in 1914 at the onset of World War I and was around until 2007. He has been referred to as the King of Chairs for his extensive work in MCM furniture, specifically in designing seating. His style is often described as organic functionality, meaning his focus is on how we use and how the chair can be used, but is not a form over function thing. He also focused on making chairs that were not as architectural and rigid as maybe the Barcelona chair from the last episode. So some about his early life. Feiner showed an instinct towards design and craftsmanship from early on. He could even draw and cut paper before he was walking. By 14, he was well on his way to an apprenticeship with master cabinet maker H.F. Stallberg. By 15, Wegener had designed and built his first chair, earning him a spot in Stallberg's workshop. He later joined the army and, while in it, traveled around Europe and saw the work of other craftsmen and architects, leading him to understand what the combination of workmanship and design could achieve. Now all he needed was his own workshop. His big break came when architect Arnie Jacobsen employed him to create the cabinetry for a new project, a move that led him to 2 important relationships in his life in 1940. He met his future wife, a secretary in Jacobsen's office. Through
Scandalous.
professional connection, huh?
I said scandalous.
Through a professional connection, he met master cabinet maker Johann Hansen. Throughout the 1940s, Wegener continued to work for Johann. Oh my gosh. Throughout the
Johannes.
mid to late 40s, Wegener completed many chairs for Johann. 1947, the Peacock chair. 1948, working with molded plywood, the shell chair and bench. 1949, the round chair and the wishbone chair. And since we're talking about the wishbone chair, we won't go into much more detail on Wegener, but he continued to thrive into the 1950s and 1960s and traveled around the USA. In the late 1960s, Knoll Furniture acquired the rights to sell Wehner's designs in the U.S. market. So, what about the actual chair we're talking about? So instead of making a rigid seating, Wehner designed the wishbone chair to feel human. It's also actually called CH24, the official name, and is a masterclass in quiet elegance and craftsmanship, even if at first glance it looks like a simple dining chair. It's light, approachable, and complex, and takes over 100 steps to make, yet it looks effortless. Most of the steps are done by hand. The seat itself, like the woven seat, we'll talk about more in a second, takes a highly skilled craftsman over an hour to produce and uses approximately 120 meters of paper cord. At first glance, the chair feels light, almost weightless. Its defining feature, the graceful Y-shaped back splat, or wishbone, curves gently upward, cradling the body as it rests on it. This is where the name came from, I guess I should say out loud in case anyone didn't.
Yeah, because the back of the chair looks like a foul wishbone upside down.
I don't think we mentioned it yet, but just in case you guys are like, gee, this is a really visual episode, I'm going to post pictures of all of this on Instagram. So by the time this episode comes out, you should be able to see pictures on the gram.
Yeah.
Follow us at MCL Podcast. Anyway, so this wishbone sculptural detail is not decorative excess. It's a functional gesture, offering lumbar support while allowing the backrest to remain open and airy. The arms flow seamlessly from the back, softly rounded and organic. Wehner carved them with human sensitivity, shaping wood as if it were clay, so the chair feels welcoming rather than rigid. There are no harsh angles here, only smooth transitions and calm proportions. The seat is made up of hand-woven paper cord. It's visually delicate, yet surprisingly resilient. It appears almost suspended, reinforcing the sense of lightness while grounding the design in traditional Danish craftsmanship. Wow, that sounds relaxing.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this chair?
I like it in the sense that it looks simple and it's elegant. It's very much a designed thing. I personally wouldn't have it in my house. We'll talk a little bit more about another chair by Wehner, the round chair, in a little bit, but I would much rather have that one in my house. I don't know. I don't like the wishbone part.
Huh.
Which is like the whole point of this one.
It does look light and airy. If I were like one of those people who had a lot of houseplants, I feel like this chair would fit in. Like one of those kind of
like if you had like a little like a veranda type thing with like two chairs and a little table and some plants behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I think if I had a sunroom or something.
Oh yeah. Anyway, the firm that originally produced it, Carl Hansen and Son, still operates today, even though they were found in 1908. For over 100 years, almost 120, they've focused on simplicity, aesthetics, and functionality brought to life through the skillful work of highly skilled artists. Today, they continue to work closely with Hans J. Wehner's studio and is the largest producer of Wehner's furniture, including the wishbone chair, all of which are manufactured in Denmark. If you want to purchase a wishbone chair, you need to find a dealer, which sounds so weird. It's like, I don't have a furniture dealer.
You gotta call somebody who's like, oh, I know a guy.
Yeah, pretty much. You should also be prepared to spend somewhere between $800 to over $1,500 for a brand new and authentic wishbone chair. The original vintage ones usually go in the high end of $1,500 per unit and often sold in sets. So be ready to spend $3,000 at least. Over time, the wishbone chair gained recognition as the ideal chair, capturing the essence of modern Danish design. If you stumble upon a wishbone chair in life, maybe like at a garage sale or something, if you are that lucky, first of all, go play the lottery, and then second, take a look at these helpful hints. If it has a made in USA stamp, discard, not real. It's a Danish product. If you're finding these chairs in the 200 to 300 range, this is a good indicator that it's a replica. And that isn't a bad thing. It's just not authentic, meaning it's not a Wehner chair. But replicas can be just as good, or at least affordable. Look for labels. There should be an original CH and S label, or a Carl Hansen and Son label, or an engraved stamp on the underside of the seat, usually near the center wishbone or Y support. The seat should be durable and braided paper cord. If you see something like nylon, it's fake. I would assume you could see nylon if like someone had refinished it, like the paper cord had broken or whatnot. But also, why would you mess with the aesthetic? You should get it redone in paper cord.
Yeah.
Other common signs of a fake are visible screws or bolts, legs that don't align perfectly, or poorly matched wood grain, or even knots in the wood. I think I've already talked about it. It's a great chair. I wouldn't have it, but
Yeah.
I would, however, have the next Hans Wegener chair, the round chair, which is named because, well, it's got a round back. We don't really need to go into detail again into Wegener because we just talked about him. So just hit the rewind button if you want to re-listen to about him. But we were talking about the same year, 1949. So the round chair goes by many names. In Danish is, and I'm sorry, Den Rundstol.
Oh, that just means the round chair.
Yes. In the USA, it's just called the chair. And it's Britain, because they had to be fancy, it's called the classic chair. Also, PP 501, PP 503, which is the model numbers. The basic design is a chair whose back and armrests are made of one continuous semicircle, which you may have to look at it from the top to see that, but it's a little half circle. The back rail wraps around the body, creating structure and strength, and the four legs extend down from the four corners of the seat. I guess the circle doesn't really have corners, but four ports. And it comes in many configurations, but as far as seats go, it's either a solid upholstered seat, which is why we have a number PP503, or a seat of woven caning like the Wishbone chair, which is model number PP501. The upholstered seat actually came second, and was in response to the caning seat sagging in environments with higher humidity than Denmark, aka the USA.
Oh, that's a shame because the caning looks really pretty.
Yes,
But that
but I
makes sense
guess
that they ship them to Louisiana and then they're like, excuse me, sir, I can't sit in this chair.
yes.
So how does it compare to the other chair we talked about today? So the round chair came before the wishbone chair, and unlike the wishbone chair, it was never meant for mass production. This meant that it was very labor-intensive to create. Johann Hansen struggled to fulfill early orders, and it took him 2 years to fulfill an order from a downtown Chicago club of 400 chairs. By 1966, he'd employed around 30 workers and could only produce 3 round chairs a day.
Imagine waiting 2 years for your Amazon package. It has a very interesting origin story, too. Off the chair, Hans Wegener said the following when asked how he created a Danish modern style chair. It was more of a, quote, process of purifying and simplification, cutting the elements of a chair to the bare essentials: 4 legs, a seat, and a combined back and armrest. The chair, end quote. In reality, Wegener was set to display 2 chairs at the annual exhibition of the Copenhagen Cabinet Makers Guild in 1949, which was a thing. He was going to display the tripartite plywood shell chair and the folding chair. But if you guys remember from the Wishbone chair, he was working with Johannes Hansen. He felt that there was too many plywood chairs on display, so he made Wegener come up with a more, in his word, traditional chair. Wegener set to work and in 48 hours had designed the round chair. Danish journalists marveled at Wegener's tripartite plywood chair since it was popular to use lamination techniques thanks to the Eames and to Alvar Aalto. However, the high cost of production would be the end of that chair, and it would actually never be produced. The prototype staying in Wegener's home. Also, we're not here to talk about that chair. We're actually talking about his other chair, the round chair, which U.S. journalists who had attended that event for the first time ever were drawn to, and mostly due to its traditional design. American journalists brought news of this chair back home, making it the subject of much attention, and even U.S. magazine Interiors featured it and christened it, quote, the most beautiful chair in the world.
Aww.
So, I know. From November 1957 through January 1952, the chair was featured in the Good Design exhibition at the MoMA in New York, where it was later added to the permanent collection, and in Chicago's Merchandise Mart. But it was really the televised presidential debate 10 years after its national release that brought the round chair to become subject of even greater attention and more accolades, because it was chosen for the seating of the first televised U.S. presidential debate between Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy on September 26th, 1960. Both
Wow.
presidential candidates, yeah. I never thought about that, but like, there's someone that has to be like, yes, this
Like,
furniture for the shot looks good.
yeah, that's somebody's job is to like set decorate the debate.
Yeah.
I suppose they do still do that now, but it's just like, do we want the gray podiums or the navy podiums?
That's true. That's true. Can we
Yawn.
go back to a stage with like designed chairs, please, for the next one?
Yeah, where they're like, let's get these beautiful Danish modern chairs instead.
Yeah.
like,
Also, I feel like if you're sitting, it's more a conversation. But anyway,
mm-hmm.
we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the fact that both both presidential candidates sat in round chairs, and although this was not a chair-centered debate, the event was televised, and it drew more attention to the chair and to the emerging Danish modern furniture trend. Today, you can get this chair at PP Mobler. They are the current manufacturers of the round chair, and they are also Danish furniture makers extraordinaires. I added that last part. The company was formed in 1953 by brothers Lars Peter and Ejnar Petersen in a small town near Copenhagen, and was evolved over 3 generations of master cabinet makers to be one of the world's leaders in the industry. Ejnar was a close friend of Einar and is the connection to the round chair. You can purchase this original and authentic chair, both the upholstered and the caned versions, from fjorn.com. And they call themselves the best in Scandinavian design, where it comes in various wood options and ranges from 7,000 to almost 13,000.
Good night. That is
I know.
an expensive chair.
I know.
It is really pretty.
It is very pretty. You can also find it on firstdibs.com, which if you guys out there have heard of it before, or if you haven't, they're an antique furniture, art, jewelry, and fashion marketplace. What they do is they connect you with trusted sellers and labels like international purchases and even negotiation on not just furniture, but like all stuff that's quote vintage.
Yeah, you can get some swung glass faces and other stuff on there too.
Yeah. I will say that I looked through that, and the prices range. The cheapest I found was a pair for $2,600, which is, I
Not
almost said,
bad
very
when we were just
affordable.
looking at 7,000 a chair.
I know. The highest that they currently have on their site, though, is a set of 6 custom height chairs for a whopping $36,000.
Nope. But I mean, heck, if you got the money, go for it.
I know, right? I know it's not close to today, but 1991 feels like yesterday, even though it was 30 something plus years ago. It was featured on a Danish postage stamp.
Cute.
Due to the high cost and limited availability, counterfeits and replicas are well known to happen. This chair is highly priced as a collectible and has gained this reputation. Uh, this has been a constant issue since the mid-century. In 1965, the office of Johannes Hansen themselves presented 12 replicas at a company event to demonstrate how much it is copied.
Wow.
Yeah. And in 2015, a shipment of 100 counterfeit chairs from China were seized and subsequently destroyed by Norwegian customs. And the restaurant that had placed the order for the fakes was made to pay the cost of destroying them.
Oh, nice.
So, please be careful when you shop for this chair. But here's how you can tell if it's real or not. Obviously, the best indicator is to look for the stamp from the manufacturer. Today, that is PP Mobler, but historically, it would be Johannes Hansen. The backrest is composed of wood joints that are concealed, becoming smooth and continuous. So if you see joints or unevenness in the circular form, it's not authentic. The seats of the real chair are either woven cane or upholstered leather, so anything else is either not authentic or has been replaced, which in my opinion makes it not authentic. They're very robust and sturdy, so not wobbly or even light. And from the 1960s to the 1980s, this is important because many reproductions came from Yugoslavia. They mimic this style but are not sanctioned by Boehner, so if you see a made in Yugoslavia stamp, they are not authentic. But you could argue that they still are significant historical artifacts because of Yugoslavia.
That's cool. Yeah.
Still, the clearest way to tell is its price. If it's too good to be true, it is. So, what are your thoughts on this chair?
I like the wood tones and the caning a lot more. It's kind of like a cross between the like light airiness of the wishbone chair, but like a lot more in the like traditional MCM, like what I picture when I think about wood chairs from that
Mm-hmm.
era. So it's
Yeah,
like a good kind of cross between the two kind of aesthetics.
I
I don't know
like
if the
it.
$7,000 love it, but I love it.
I know for that money I would spend on other chairs. Uh, I
There's a
like
different
this
chair I could
chair.
spend that money on, but we'll get to that one later.
I don't think that I would like this as a dining room chair, but I can see this like as like a hall chair. And now that my hall has chair, because my hall's about 3.5 feet wide, and the only thing you can do in there is open the front door. But if I had a big house with a hall,
Yeah, again, I don't know, maybe it's just the caning that makes me feel like this would look good in like a room with a lot of sun. Like,
I think you're thinking because of wicker.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
It's just like giving garden lifestyle, like fresh vegetables, kitchen, like
yeah,
chair or something. I don't know. Like it's not formal. It doesn't look formal, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It looks more like casual gardeny, even though it has a formal price tag.
yeah.
It like
To
for some
me,
reason, yeah.
it says, "Hey, we're gonna have tea in the veranda."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which probably also because we just watched the last Downton Abbey movie yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Oh, so good. Better movies.
But anyway, while we're off topic, we haven't done TV catch up in a while. Anyway, now that we've done two chairs from a designer we have never talked about, it's probably time to talk about a designer we talk about all the time. So, surprise, we're talking about Saarinen again. This time, we're talking about the tulip chair, also known as the stereotypical mid-century office chair.
That was me. I put
Honestly,
that in there.
before I knew what these were called, like way back in my like just getting into vintage days, I referred to these as Star Trek chairs.
Oh, well, you will find out, listeners out there, that she was not wrong.
So just a little extra background on Saarinen. We, of course, talked about him before, but here's some fun facts about him. So he was a Finnish-American architect and industrial designer born in 1910 and active until his death in 1961. He has a very extensive portfolio of architecture from the GM Technical Center to Dulles International Airport Main Terminal and the TWA Flight Center at JFK to the Gateway Arch. Saarinen was the son of a Finnish architect and moved to Michigan as a teenager, eventually becoming naturalized in 1940 after marrying sculptor Lillian Swan. Regarding furniture, Saarinen became known and popular for his furniture design through early collaborations with Charles Eames on chairs for the 1940 MoMA Organic Design Competition. His design for the tulip chair and all the other chairs he did were taken into production by the Knoll Furniture Company, founded by Hans Knoll, who married a close family friend of Saarinen, Florence Knoll. We talked about him in a previous chair episode since he designed the womb chair and ottoman in 1948. But we're talking about the tulip chair today, which was designed in 1955 by Saarinen for the Knoll Company. Initially, it was going to be named part of the Pedestal Group, no doubt for its base, but thankfully that was thrown out and the tulip chair was given its name to connect it with its inspiration in nature. The chair has smooth lines of modernism and is considered a classic example of industrial design, often considered space age for its futuristic use of curves and artificial materials of the time.
Yeah, see, you weren't wrong when you called it the Star Trek chair.
I feel like they had these on the bridge, but I've
I'm
been
sure
actually
they
thinking
did.
I really need to rewatch the original series. I've been actually like craving it lately, so I
I
think a rewatch is on the
I have a
books.
feeling, and I don't remember, but I think that they had these in 2001: A Space Odyssey at the beginning, whenever they are in the Hilton Hotel in the space station.
Cool. Yeah,
But, anyways,
they are very spacey chairs. So, regarding its design and reason for being, Saarinen said, "The undercarriage of chairs and tables in a typical interior makes an ugly, confusing, unrestful world. I wanted to clear up the slum of legs. I wanted to make the chair all one thing again. Love that. Ugly and confusing and unrestful. Yeah.
yeah,
You know what'll solve that? A pedestal."
yes,
Originally, Saarinen hoped to have the chair made entirely out of fiberglass as a one-piece unit, but the weight of the top was too much for the material at the time, and the prototypes were prone to breaking. So the base of the tulip chair is of cast aluminum with a Rilsan-coated finish to match the upper shell, so it looks and feels like a single unit. The upper shell and back is molded fiberglass and reinforced with a plastic bonded finish. The foam cushion is removable thanks to Velcro, which, by the way, you can go hear our episode on that's mid-century inventions that were done by accident, where we talk about Velcro. We'll put a link to that in the show notes, since we can't remember the episode number at the moment. The authentic tulip chair does have a variation. It consists of either an armchair or an armless chair with a swivel or a fixed base. They also are produced with either an upholstered cushion seat or a fully upholstered inner shell and cushion. The base and shell are available in either black or white, with the fabric components available in a wide range of fabrics.
Yeah, and the tulip chair is not without recognition. It's been featured in many museums and displays. Obviously, we've already talked about how it's been featured in the space age TV shows. And it's also earned several awards. For example, the Museum of Modern Art Award in 1969, the Federal Award of Industrial Design in 1969, and the Design Center Stuttgart Award in 1962. It's also a significant design element due to its elimination of the so-called ugly parts of the chair and table, meaning its legs, and also the pedestal collection, which includes the tulip chair, was the last collection that Saarinen, who died during an operation for a brain tumor in 1961, worked on. It's become a symbol of the 1950s. It's become a symbol of the 1950s design and style, in many parts due to its space age aesthetics, and due to this have made several. It's become a symbol of the 1950s design and style, in many parts due to that space age aesthetics that we've talked about, and it being in some mid-century films and TV shows like Star Trek, and also making an appearance in the recent-ish blockbuster Barbie, which I have not seen, so I cannot confirm.
Oh man, I saw it, but I didn't notice these chairs, and now I have to rewatch that horrible movie to find this chair. Anyway, you can still get this. You can still get this chair new today. Knoll Furniture still carries it. On their website, you can order it with a swivel or not, and with 2 upholstered styles, fully and only the cushion, and oh so many colors and materials for your choosing, with still either a white or black base. The armchair retails for $3,800, and the side chair retails between $2,000 and $3,000. But on the bright side, authenticity is guaranteed, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Plus, you can buy the dining table to match, which is only $5,400.
Yeah. In which case, you need to buy more than one of the chairs.
Yeah, then you need 4 chairs. Goodness. It's a shame we have such good taste.
I know, right?
So you can also find it on firstdibs.com, where the prices are all over the place, but kind of comparable to Knoll's. Here's how to tell if it's real or not. So the most obvious indication is the Knoll Studio logo and signature of Saarinen, which are located on the underside of the base. It should be heavy. The base is heavy cast aluminum, and screws are not seen, which seem to be a trend with today's episode, actually. If you can see the screws, it's not original.
Yep.
Watch for seams, lighter materials, as these could point to replicas. For example, plastic will mean it's not authentic. The base is a solid piece of metal. Knoll competitor Burke, Inc. used a 4-star base in its attempt at the chair, so that is not right. Authentic vintage chairs will show a slight patina on the plastic. After all, the mid-century was over 70 years ago. So, Gonzalo, any final thoughts on the tulip chair?
Yes.
Or are you ready to move on?
I mean, I'm always ready to talk about the next one because it's great. But before we talk about the next one, I like so far out of the ones we've talked about this episode, this is one I like the most. I like the double upholstered version, the one that the shell, so the inside of the shell, which is the seat and the backrest, is upholstered, and then also you get a cushion. I'm going to go ahead and assume they were not original tulip chairs, but we had tulip-like chairs at our office when I used to work in an office in the break room. They were white with red cushions. Who knows? Maybe they were real.
Maybe.
I
definitely
know.
sat in the real ones when I went to the TWA hotel for 10 minutes while I was waiting for a flight at JFK. But
nice.
Actually, I'm really glad we're talking about that in this episode because I took all these photos and videos while I was there and I never posted them, but now this is maybe the excuse I need to finally share those.
There you go. Go for it.
I sure will. Man, they're really good looking chairs. And those I know are for sure are original because at the TWA hotel they actually have like employees standing around telling you like to be nice to the furniture and the carpet because it's all original. Like you're not
Yes.
even allowed to bring your suitcase onto the carpet. They make you park it on the tile, and
Interesting.
like they just go around like making sure you keep the drinks away from the upholstery. Like it's a big deal.
Museum piece. Well,
Yeah,
they
it's
have
like
said that.
they're like, we want you to relax, but don't get too comfortable because these are from the '60s and we have to take care of them.
I don't remember. I read an article or researching and that, and it was talking about how the TWA terminal and the tulip chair are versions of each other. Um, and I think it was saying how the TWA is the building version of the tulip chair.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, but
All right, are
I
you ready?
think it's time to
Yeah.
talk about one of my favorites and the reason why I structured the episode like this so that I would talk about this one. This is the Eames lounge chair and ottoman. It's seriously, apart from the Barcelona chair from the last episode, I would love to have this. Um, like I can see it if I lived in like a mountain house with like big windows overlooking a snowy mountain with like a roaring fire and a fireplace. This would be the chair in that living room.
The vibe,
So,
the room the imaginary room I've designed this chair around is like a big like record music lounge where like
oh
a
yeah,
wall of records and the Neems lounge chair with like headphones and like really
mm,
good speakers and like warm lighting. That's
I can
that's
see
the
that.
room that I've designed around
And
this chair.
whiskey in your Mad Men glasses.
Mm-hmm. And whiskey in
Yes.
my Mad Men glasses.
So we talked a little bit about this chair and all about the Eameses in episode 34. So go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already. But if you're new here, welcome. And also, so Charles and Ray Eames were an American married couple and industrial designers who have made significant and possibly priceless historical contributions to the development of modern architecture and modern furniture, all through their office called the Eames office. They came to prominence due to their use of molded plywood to create forms, including the leg splint for World War II for 1941 through 1942. But let's get on to the actual chair and ottoman, because they are part of a set or a collection, even if at the beginning they were sold separately, although the Eames office has always encouraged prospective buyers to get them as a set. So the lounge chair was introduced in 1956 for Herman Miller and very quickly became the prototype for ergonomic furniture. Their official names are the Eames Lounge, number 670, and Ottoman, number 671. And we say numbers because this is a sidebar combo, but a lot of times in like First Dibs and the antique furniture dealers, I guess you could say, you would call for chair 670 or CH24 instead of calling it the Eames Lounge and the Wishbone chair. So it's a very complex furniture piece, at least as construction goes. The set is made up of an armchair and matching ottoman, both made of molded plywood and leather, and was the first chair designed by Eames exclusively for the high-end market. This means that it is an exception to the Eames' ideal of developing affordable furniture that could be mass-produced. The original lounge chair was made of die-cast aluminum base and frame, finished in black baked enamel, but now is also available in white baked enamel. The cushions were originally goose down feathers enclosed in either vinyl, leather, or fabric, but today they are foam. Yeah,
Good for allergies, but interesting.
yeah. Also, I don't know how comfortable it is to sit on goose down. It's very comfortable to have on you as like a duvet, but I don't know. I
But
feel
not
like,
great as pillows, so I'm kind of, I bet the foam is actually probably improved.
yeah. Um, it was inspired by the traditional English club chair and was meant to be the quote warm, receptive look of a well-used first baseman's mitt,
Oh,
according to Charles Eames.
I love that.
Yeah. The chair is composed of three curved plywood shells covered with veneer, the headrest, the backrest, and the seat. The shells and cushions are essentially the same shape, two curved forms interlocking to form a solid mass. The chair back and headrest are identical in proportion, so are the seat and the ottoman, and all components of the cushion are tufted, which is a word I learned recently, meaning that a button is pushed into the leather to create a beautiful and unique lines on the cushion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I knew what tuft was before. I just didn't remember what it was, so I had to Google what is it called when you put a button in a cushion. um, the most classic look for it is dark veneer on the molded plywood with black leather.
Mm-hmm.
Although the set has changed over time. from 1956 to the 1990s, the shelves were made up of 5 thin layers of plywood covered by a veneer of Brazilian rosewood, which was discontinued in the early 1990s. The current production consists of 7 layers of plywood and covered in veneers of cherry, walnut, and palisander rosewood, which is a sustainable form of the earlier Brazilian rosewood. And I think we talk a little bit more about that in a couple of seconds, minutes, hours. Smaller changes include spaces between the aluminum spines of the legs and the wood panels, usually made out of rubber. The number of screws on the armrests, which was initially 3, were reduced to 2 in the second series of the models. Labels to denote authenticity have changed over the decades as well, with the very first model from 1956 having a silver or white circular medallion containing the phrases "designed by Charles Eames" and "Herman Miller Cylinder," changing to a black oblong in the 70s and 80s and a silver oblong in the 1990s and 2000s, and now a curved embossed seal from the 2000s onward. And those are important because apparently if we've learned anything today, we've learned that if there's no seal or stamp, it's not authentic.
Right. And there are definitely knockoffs of this chair available. So it's very important that's cool that not only can you tell it's authentic if it's got a sticker, but based on the sticker, you know what year it's from. So
yeah,
that's super useful. It's kind of like if you're trying to date vintage clothing, a lot of people use the manufacturer tags to figure out what year clothing was produced in. It's like, oh yes, well, so-and-so had this logo in 1945, so that it's stuff like that. It's very interesting. This chair is beautiful. I also think it's gorgeous. It's like when I close my eyes and think of a mid-century chair, it's the first one that comes to mind. And it's also won several awards and is another very famous TV chair. So the chair first appeared on the NBC daytime program Home in 1956. Also, Frasier had one of these in his apartment. This is actually the chair he had to move to make room for his dad's recliner. I don't know when the last time you rewatched Frasier was, but he ended up sticking it next to the window. And it doesn't look that bad there, and he has got a great view. But anyway, and it just hangs out in the background. And that's another thing, is that means like some set decorator, though I'm sure just like the NBC lot has this like a stash of Ames lounge chairs for set decorations, like in their prop closet or whatever. But that just means that when they were furnishing this guy's fake apartment, they're like, Frasier would have an Eames lounge, so we need an Eames lounge. Like, that's someone's job.
Yep.
Anyway. So if you'd like to see the Eames lounge chair in person, it's part of the permanent collection at MoMA, and it was donated by Herman Miller in 1960. A rosewood Eames lounge chair and ottoman are on display at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and another Eames lounge chair and ottoman are on display in the permanent collection of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston.
Yeah. Side note, the Henry Ford Museum is great. The chair and ottoman have been in continuous production since 1950s by Miller Knoll in the USA and later by Vitra for the European market. In the UK, it was licensed for 10 years to Hill International Limited starting in 1957 and has actually become one of the most well-known and desirable furniture designs. I actually had a friend in college who had one of these in his apartment. And I don't remember the circumstances of how he got it. There was one of those circumstances where like someone was throwing it out because they didn't know what it was, and he, who was studying architecture, was like, "Oh, I'll take it for sure." Anyway, in 2006, to commemorate the 50-year anniversary, Herman Miller introduced the sustainable palisander rosewood veneer. In 2008, both Herman Miller and Vitra developed a tall, known as extra large in Europe, version offering a higher and deeper sizing. If you're going to purchase from Herman Miller, good news. It is currently marked as 20% off, so it could be yours for the low, low price of $5,888 instead of $7,360.
Oh boy.
I know. And you can also choose from the standard or tall size. There's also 7 different wood veneers and various cushion fabrics and leathers, including vegan leather. If you want to look for it, search for it under item number 1007757. And if that's too much to remember, just simply type lounge chair and ottoman. These are convenient in that they are guaranteed to be authentic and come with a 5-year warranty, and also comes with an easy return policy within the first 30 days of purchase. Although, why would you return this? You can also purchase it from the Eames office directly, but it can be a bit pricier with the higher finishes pricing at almost $10,000 on that site. If you're coming across these in the wild, the first thing to check to see if it's real or not, again, is to check for the labels and the stamps. Authentic ones have at least one label, but often have more. But over the last 5 years or so, a secondary market of lounge chairs affixed with original Herman Miller labels has appeared. Apparently, this is something that has been happening overseas, and they've been taking labels from like lesser Herman Miller furniture and putting it on these fake replicas. The finish, also something to look for, is very hard to fake the Brazilian rosewood veneer. So if you find that you have that, you have a winner in your hands. However, recent copies, especially from China, do a good job at replicating the walnut and palisander veneers. Also, look at the bolts. Original and authentic pieces have a specific universal thread bolt under the arms and panels, while most reproduction copies use a hex bolt. And those are the type that you would see in like IKEA furniture with a little Allen key. So if you see those in yours, then it's not authentic, or if it is authentic, for whatever reason, someone fixed it incorrectly. Wear and patina on the lounger is more acceptable among collectors, so be wary if you find an original MCM piece that looks new. So, what are your thoughts?
This chair is beautiful, and again, it's just like it's like the dream chair, and I can't believe you actually know someone who found something like who didn't. That's actually how I want to find all of the expensive stuff, is that someone throws out something and they don't know what they had.
Yeah.
But really, I just need to start making a better habit of driving around on bulk trash day in old neighborhoods. I think that's really the answer.
Either that or go to estate sales, and hopefully the people don't know.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's just you have to find an estate sale where someone didn't bother Googling anything, which is tricky these days because I feel like most people hire estate sale companies, and estate sale companies always check eBay.
Yep.
But if you find somebody who's doing an estate sale just on their own, like an everything must go style estate sale, that's where the deals are to be had. But
Yes.
that's the thing is
You
like
can probably negotiate there too.
yeah, you probably can because they just want it out of the house. But I feel like those are harder to come by, but they do still exist. Some people just want the house empty. And there I will be to take all their furniture. So if our last episode was on chairs that you know, today's episode was all about the chairs that you just don't understand until you sit on them.
Yes. I have nothing else to contribute.
What makes these chairs relevant in today's world is that they solve the problems we're still trying to solve. They weren't designed to look iconic, they were designed to fix an issue. So the wishbone chair fixed the problem of everyday seating. It provided an everyday chair that was light, flexible, and human. The round chair solved how to combine elegance, comfort, and craftsmanship without excess stuff. The bare bones of a chair, but designed. The tulip chair solved all the visual clutter of all those legs and furniture. Who knew that was such a problem? As well as the inefficient use of space. And then the Eames lounge chair redefined what comfort should look like. Today, we're still looking for ways to make spaces feel calmer, more intentional, and more comfortable. These chairs already solved this, so go buy one of each.
Yes, and then send them to us. They're also pointing towards a new sustainability trend, and not necessarily sustainable materials, but things that last, not just things that are environmentally friendly. It seems that now people are shifting to buy things of quality, not cheap things, and not things just because they're made of renewable or sustainable materials. If something lasts, that's like the ultimate sustainable choice. These chairs all have stayed in production for over 60 years. They are repairable, refinishable, can be reupholstered. They rarely feel dated, even as trends cycle. So you don't replace these chairs. They also influence today's furniture more than we realize. Chairs, especially dining, are minimal today. Gone are grandma's wooden chairs with those spindles and curly cues, except for the table in my kitchen, which has those chairs. The wishbone chair championed the minimal wood, as did the round chair. We see the return of pedestal bases as callback to the mid-century, like the tulip chair began this trend. And who doesn't want to lounge? We see lounges advertised in all furniture catalogs.
And speaking of catalogs, these chairs are continuously reinterpreted and echoed in modern furniture. Both the wishbone and round chair have impacted the design of many modern kitchens. Take into consideration the IKEA Lizabo chair or the Hogved chair. Both feature styles that are inspired by Wegener's designs. IKEA also has some Eames Lounge inspiration pieces, like the Pang chair? Poang
I
chair.
don't know. I always say poing, poing,
Poang.
but I also say that whenever I talk about boing. It's like one spring. Boing, boing, boing.
Anyway, you guys know this chair. It's their best-selling Brentwood lounger with ottoman. These chairs and others aren't meant to be copies. They are showing how the mid-century has impacted design even today. They reflect how mid-century principles have been present in our daily lives and mainstreamed into global design. For many people today, an IKEA Poang is their first or only encounter with modern, in quotes, furniture, just like the Eames or Tulip were for design enthusiasts in the 1950s.
Yeah, I really like that because like we're talking about how like modern interpretations of these chairs are maybe the first time that someone sees this style of chair in the same way that these designers, the public in the 1950s, they had never seen chairs like this. They had never been exposed to lounger like this. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a nice little echo to
Yeah,
history.
the principles, even if the look isn't exactly the same, the principles are the same, so it's
Yeah.
kind of have the same impact. Trends come and go, but these chairs have outlived the entire design movement. So if a chair still feels right after 70 years across cultures, homes, designs, and generations, that's not nostalgia, that's just good design.
Yes. Yes. And also, I really want one. And if someone out there wants to buy me a set of chairs, I'll take a pair of Barcelonas from last episode and the Eames Lounge chair and ottoman. Two would be nice, but beggars can be choosers. But it looks like with that, we have finally launched on the Eames chair. Thank you all for listening today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the show and tell a friend.
You can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram at MCL Podcast. Instagram is the best place to send us feedback and episode suggestions. Send us a DM anytime. And you can also contact us through the Send Us a Text Message feature in the show notes.
Yeah, so send us some fan mail. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye!
Thank you for listening to Mid-Century Living. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at MCL Podcast. See you next Friday.